All right, welcome back. We are here. It's on a Thursday. We're ready to go with a little bit of math for today. Of course, before we get to the math, got a couple things we got to get through first. We've got to get through Disney pins. Today, Mickey and Minnie, repping it hard, repping it for the team. Because one day Disney will open back up. I'm just saying, it's going to happen. I can't wait. So Mickey and Minnie are joining me today. We also have some wonderful squeezy mates again. And the hope is, of course, fingers crossed, we don't get any Astros players. We don't want cheaters here. So let's see, what are we going to get today? It's a player for the Marlins. Alfaro. An actual baseball player for your Miami Marlins. But that's not all for today. We got two squeezy mates. We got two chances at getting an Astro to throw. Let's see. What are we going to get today? Oh, no, we get a pretty good one here. Max Scherzer. He's pretty good. Pretty good pitcher. He's a pretty good little keychain to end up with. They can go sit up here with some of the other wonderful toys we've gotten as part of these lessons. Disney pins, of course. Open something up? Yes, naturally. Oh, quotes of the day. Our throwback quote of the day comes from Wednesday, March 18th. If stupid could fly, your name would be Jetty McPlaneface. Jetty McPlaneface. And for today's quote, mirrors cannot talk. Lucky for you, it can't laugh either. All right. Our quote of the day can sit up here, right behind the whiteboard. Again, today, because we finished up all of the material that's on Edgenuity, we're going to do a little bit of review. So we're going to jump into that right now. So get ready for a little throwback, hopefully something you're really familiar with, and something that you're going to be really, really strong with, especially going into next school year. All right now, Michael Scott, DJ Kitty, and of course Mr. Rogers. Pay attention. This is going to be on the quiz. Welcome back. We are here today, pre-algebra, let's go. We're doing a little review. We're done with Pythagorean theorem videos. We've covered everything that needs to be covered for Edgenuity, so now we're going to do a little review over some topics that we need to maybe go back over again, things that we need to be strong on going into Algebra 1. For us, started out yesterday, had a little technical difficulties, so the video did not pop up. So today's video might be a little bit longer, but that just means you get to enjoy more math today, and isn't that what we all really want? Don't roll your eyes at me, it's not nice. Nevertheless, it's okay. Today we're talking about solving linear equations, okay? Linear equations just means we're solving an equation and our variable has an exponent of 1. Look here. 2 times the quantity r plus 11 equals negative 8r plus 29. We need to solve for the variable, solve for r. There's a lot of stuff going on here. If only there was like a process we could use. Like 5 steps. 5 seems like a good number of steps we could use to be able to solve equations. Oh my goodness! Look at this over here. You might remember these from, it was around November, we were doing this in class, late October, early November. Our 5 steps to solving equations, to make things easier for all of us, because sometimes equations look a little crazy. Sometimes they even have fractions. But if we work through our steps, work through each one completely, we can end up solving all these equations and really making this process really simple. So again, if we're going to solve this equation, the first thing I want to do, just like y'all, nobody likes fractions, right? So if we can get rid of them, most of y'all seem to think, do that. Our equation here doesn't have any fractions, so we're not going to have to worry about step 1. I'll move that marker back here. But step 2 we can't work with. After we clear out fractions, we're going to simplify each side of the equal sign. Now looking here at this equation, the right side is done. Negative 8r plus 29, we can't combine those terms, so that side of the equation is simplified, but the left side, it's not there yet. What still needs to happen on the left side of the equation? That's right. It's the distributive property here. We're going to multiply 2 times r, 2 times 11. 2r plus 22 equals negative 8r plus 29. This side simplified, the little hat on top of the two-way. This side of the equation is simplified. It's time to go to step 3. Just if we're solving an equation for a variable, we need to get the variable to only be on one side of the equal sign. We know in the end, our answer should be r equals something. But for that to happen, r can only be on one side of the equal sign. So we're going to get rid of it from one side. I'm going to get rid of this negative 8r. I personally, if I can have a positive coefficient for the variable, I prefer that. How can I cancel out negative 8r from this side of the equation? What would I have to do so that there would be 0r here? If I've got negative 8r, I probably should do the opposite. The opposite of a negative is a positive. So if I add 8r to the right side of the equation, then I have to add 8r to the left side of the equation as well. We've got to keep the equations balanced. That cancels out. We've got 10r plus 22 equals 29. Variable's only on one side of the equal sign. It's time to move on. Step 4. Step 4, something else's favorite. It's where we get everything else. Everything else. It's not the variable or the variable's coefficient. It's got to go. It cannot be on the same side of the equation as our variable. It means this 22 here. It's got to be removed. It's got to be deleted. It's got to be eradicated from the left side of the equation. How can we do that? We're just going to use an opposite operation here. We'll subtract 22 from each side of the equation. That cancels out. Now I've got 10r equals 29 minus 22. That's 7. We're pretty close to what our answer should look like. But there's one more thing that has to happen. I know that 10r equals 7, but I'm not really trying to find out what 10r equals. I want to know what 1r is equal to. How do we do that? Well, we divide by the variable's coefficient. We divide both sides of the equation by our coefficient, in this case 10. And we get r equals 7 over 10. Now some of you might think, well, let me get my calculator out. I say nay, nay. 7/10 is a great number. It's a wonderful number. And if you get your calculator out, that means you have to do more work. And who wants to do more work? We're done right here. Now, does that mean you can't get your calculator out and find out that 7/10 is the same as 0.7? Of course not. But we can leave our answer just like this. We've solved the equation for a variable. Now we're going to do 2 more problems today using a little more really complex equations. But don't worry, again, our steps keep working every time. We'll be right back with another equation to work out. We're back. Another equation right here for us, ready to go. This time our equation is 2/3 x minus 1/4 equals 1/6. And I see that dreaded F word. The one all of you are scared to say. I know. Some of you consider it a bad word. I don't, but some of y'all do. We got fractions here. It's okay though. Our first step, we're going to clear out the fractions. How can we clear out the fractions? Well, I'm going to multiply both sides of this equation by a number. We're going to come up with that number in just a second, but we need to multiply it by a number so that once we simplify out everything, once we've distributed that number to the left side of the equation and multiply that number times 1/6, we don't have any fractions left. How do we do that? Well, we need to find the least common multiple of our denominators. 3, 4, and 6. What's the smallest number that's a multiple of each of those 3 values? Oh, yeah, 12. 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 3 is 12. 6 times 2 is 12. So we're going to multiply both sides of the equations by this. Use our whole distributive property over here. We have 24 over 3x minus 12 over 4 equals 12 over 6. Remember, we're multiplying. We're only multiplying this value times the numerator. Which was, if we were to write this as a fraction, it would be 12 over 1. Now let's simplify these fractions out. 24 divided by 3 is 8. So 8x minus 3 equals 2. And look at that. We have an equivalent equation with no more fractions, which I know makes a lot of you happy. Let's go to step 2. Simplify each side of the equation. Well, hold up. It's already done. We're going to go ahead and bypass step 2. Go on to step 3, get the variable to one side. Oh my goodness, this equation, what a great equation this is. The variable's already only on one side of the equation. We just now have to get everything else away, which means I'm going to add 3 to both sides of the equation. Get 8x equals 5. One step to go. Divide by the variable's coefficient. In this case, the coefficient is 8. Divide both sides of the equation by 8. We get x equals 5/8. See, some of y'all might have been intimidated by seeing those fractions at the beginning, but we do these steps over and over again. We practice these types of problems so that when we see them in the future, they're not as intimidating. Because we know how to get rid of the fractions. We know how to make this a little bit simpler for us to be able to solve. One more problem, and then we're done for the day, and you can enjoy your weekend. Last question of the day. We're going to solve this equation for x. We've got negative 3 times quantity 2/5 x plus 3 equals 5x plus 3/2 minus 3x. And we're going to adjust our order for our steps here just a little bit. Even though I see fractions, one of those fractions is inside the parentheses here. So I'm going to wait to clear the fractions out until after we've simplified each side of the equation. So we're going to save this marker for in just a second. For the left side of my equation, we're not simplified yet because we can still use the old distributive property. We're going to distribute negative 3 into the parentheses, or into the binomial here. We get negative 6 over 5x minus 9 equals, on the right side, I don't have any distributive property, but I do have like terms here. I've got 5x and negative 3x. Those are like terms. We can combine those. What is 5x minus 3x? It's not 37.2. That's wrong. No, of course, it's 5 minus 3. It's 2. 2x plus 3/2. Now, we've simplified our size here. We can actually go ahead and clear out that fraction. Our denominators are 5 and 2. So what's the least common multiple of 5 and 2? Since we only have 2 numbers, really, what's 5 times 2? It's 10. We'll multiply each side of this equation by 10. Do a whole lot of the old distributive property here. 10 times negative 6/5 x is negative 60 over 5x minus 90 equals 20x plus 30 divided by 2. And we're going to go ahead and simplify these fractions out so we don't have to worry about them anymore. Negative 60 divided by 5. 5 goes into 6 one time. 1 left over. 5 goes into 10 twice. So negative 12x minus 90 equals 20x plus 15. And we're done with that marker. This time we go to step 3. We've got to get the variable to only one side. So the question is, which side of the equation should we move the variable to? Well, let's get rid of that negative 12x from the left side. Do that by adding 12x. If I do it to one side of the equation, I have to do it to the other side. So we've got negative 90 equals 32x plus 15. The variable's on one side. Let's go to step 4. Get everything else, move out of the way so we can see that. Get everything else to the other side of the equation. Well, I've got x on the right side of the equation this time. What else do I see on the right side of the equation? I see that plus 15. You cancel that out by subtracting. Do it to both sides of the equation. Now, negative 90 minus 15. Remember, since we have a negative number minus a number, we're getting more negative. So what we're really doing is we're going to add the numbers together and keep it negative. Nice, easy way to kind of think of that. Negative 90 minus 15 is going to be 105, negative 105, equals 32x. We're almost there. This almost looks like how our equations should look like in the end when we're solving. All we have to do is step 5, which is divide by our coefficient of the variable, which means we're going to divide both sides by 32. And x will equal negative 105 over 32. We had 3 equations today. Every one of our equations had a value of the variable that was a fraction. Is that okay? Of course it is. Fractions are just numbers too, guys. Again, do these steps over and over again so remember how to solve equations so that we can really solve any equation that we get. Doesn't matter how intimidating it may look from the start. We know if we follow the steps, we try to simplify each side. If we're getting the variable to one side, then getting everything else to the other side, and then making sure our variable has a coefficient of 1, those steps will end up with us getting our answer, getting our value for the variable pretty simply every time. So, have a great weekend. Hopefully you have a wonderful extra day off tomorrow. We will be back on Monday with a video ready to go, talking about some more review topics, getting us ready for our last bit of the 9 weeks of the year. We'll see y'all on Monday.